Is loyalty strength or weakness? Because loyalty sounds powerful. It sounds noble. Standing by someone no matter what. Believing in something even when the world turns against it. But there's a line, a quiet, almost invisible line, where loyalty stops being strength and starts becoming something else. Something heavier. Something that can either define you or trap you. That's the line Konan walks. Not as the loudest voice in the Akatsuki, but as one of the most emotionally grounded. Because her loyalty wasn't blind, it was built on pain, loss, and a shared understanding of a broken world. Konan didn't grow up believing in power or domination. She grew up in survival, in war, in a reality where peace wasn't an idea, it was something distant, almost unreachable. Alongside Nagato and Yahiko, she experienced what it means to lose everything and still keep going. Not because she was strong, but because she had no other choice. And when you go through that kind of trauma with people, something forms. Not just friendship, but a bond deeper than logic. A bond built on shared suffering, shared survival, shared hope. And that's where her loyalty begins. Not in ideology, but in connection. Because before there was pain, before there was the Akatsuki we know, there was a dream. A simple one, to create peace, not through fear, not through control, but through understanding. And Konan believed in that dream, not because it was perfect, but because it came from something real, from people she trusted, from experiences she lived through. But dreams change, people change, and when Yahiko died, everything shifted. Not just emotionally, but philosophically, because that moment didn't just create pain, it reshaped Nagato into pain. It turned hope into control. It transformed a dream into a system built on suffering. And Konan saw all of it. She wasn't unaware. She wasn't manipulated. She understood exactly what was happening. And yet, she stayed. That's what makes her psychology so powerful. Because her loyalty wasn't blind. It was chosen. Over and over again. Even when things changed. Even when the dream became something darker. Even when the person she followed wasn't the same anymore. And that raises a difficult question. Why? Why stay loyal when everything shifts? Because for Konan, loyalty wasn't about perfection. It was about meaning. Because when you've lost as much as she has, when you've seen the world at its worst, the people who stand beside you through that become more than just individuals. They become anchors, proof that something real exists in a world full of chaos. And letting go of that doesn't just mean losing a person. It means losing a part of yourself. That's the emotional weight behind her choices. She didn't follow pain because he was always right. She followed him because she remembered who he used to be. Because she believed that somewhere beneath the pain, beneath the ideology, that original dream still existed. And that belief is both her strength and her vulnerability. Because loyalty like that gives you purpose. It gives you direction. It keeps you grounded in something real. But it also comes with a risk. The risk of holding on when you should let go. The risk of defending something that no longer aligns with what you once believed. The risk of losing yourself in someone else's vision. And Konan walks that line carefully. Because unlike others, she still feels. She still reflects. She still questions, even if she doesn't always act on those questions. And that's what separates her from blind followers. She isn't driven by fear. She isn't driven by ego. She's driven by connection. And connection is powerful. But it can also be limiting. Because when your loyalty is tied to people instead of principles, your decisions start to shift. You begin to prioritize relationships over logic, emotion over reason, and sometimes that leads you into places you wouldn't have chosen on your own. But here's where Konan's story evolves. Because loyalty doesn't mean stagnation. And at a certain point, she's forced to confront reality. Not the past, not the memory of what once was, but what things have become. And in that moment, her loyalty doesn't disappear. It transforms. Because true loyalty isn't just about standing by someone. It's about understanding what they stood for in the first place and protecting that, even if it means standing against them. That's the shift. That's the growth. Because at her core, Konan isn't loyal to destruction. She's loyal to the idea of peace, to the original dream, to the meaning behind everything they went through. And once that becomes clear, her choices start to reflect something deeper than attachment. They reflect clarity. And that's what makes her one of the most balanced characters in the Akatsuki. She doesn't reject emotion like Sasori. She doesn't escape reality like Obito Uchiha. She doesn't enforce control like Madara Uchiha. She navigates loyalty. She lives in that space between emotion and logic, trying to hold on to what matters without completely losing herself in it. And that's something real. Because in life, loyalty is rarely simple. It's not always right or wrong. It's layered, complicated, sometimes beautiful, sometimes dangerous. And the hardest part is knowing when to hold on and when to let go. So now the question comes back to you. If you believed in something deeply, if you shared a bond built on pain, trust, and history, would you stay loyal no matter what? Or would you walk away when that loyalty starts to cost you who you are?